live, laugh.
Finishing first, wrestling out of North Pennsylvania, weighing 269 pounds, O'Shea Edwards.
O'Shea Edwards, we mentioned it before, a firefighter in the Atlanta area. He's a man who leans into the dark side a little bit, Caprice.
Yeah, some people fight their demons. He listens to them. He embraces them. He listens to what they say, and he does it as well.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Daniel, and
I'm
we
Chris.
have a very special guest. I'm going to read off these titles because they are too long. He is the Big Bad Kaiju. He is number 322 on the PWI 500. He's number 43 on the QWI 200. He is number 38 on the BW 500. He is, like I said, the Big Bad Kaiju. He is O'Shea Edwards. How are you doing tonight?
Man, what's going on, boys? Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Super excited to have you on. Before we get started, you mentioned you had some shows coming up. Where can everybody find you with your shows, and where can everybody follow your socials?
Yeah. Most definitely. You can find me mostly coming up at like Three Legacies. That's going to be January the 20th. That's going to be in like Lancaster, PA. You can also find me like CZW. You can find me with Fight. Actually, February 28th is a big show. It's me and Should D for the pretty much the Pan African World Heavyweight title. So that's going to be a big one. Like 2024 shaping up to really good. I'll be in London. I'll be in England for the first time for like a week and a half in March. So like, I got a few dates out in there, man. I actually got that transportation locked in, so it's official. So me and the guys are going. So there's gonna be a group of us going out there.
I saw there's like Adam Priest, Jaden Newman. Yeah, that'll be it for sure.
It's not official till that transpo is paid for. That's awesome,
brother. You know it.
Awesome. Well, a lot to talk about. I think you mentioned earlier too, like in the ring, you're kind of this domineering kind of like.
You're kind of scary, dude.
Yeah. But
like when Daniel told me this interview was happening, I was a little intimidated. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Nah, man. People don't understand, man. You know, like the guy you see in the ring, like that's the guy who makes me money. You know what I'm saying? Like that bell's got a ring, man. I gotta fight. Like everything I go in there, man, it's a fight. People keep thinking it's a show, and they want to think it's this. And they're like, no, for me, like this is a fight. This is how I make my money. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I put food on the table.
Yeah.
You know, I got a kid and a wife, man. I got to take care of them. So, you know, like this pays the bills for me. So, like, as much as I like to goof off and play around and everything like that, man, that bell ring, it's serious. It's very, very, very serious to me. So, like, I take the sport of professional wrestling very seriously. I take the business of professional wrestling very seriously. Like, in general, like, I take the entirety of professional wrestling like very, very serious. Like I understand it's a lot of fun, I'm having a great old time, but I take it very, very serious.
Okay, so you're at the point where like this is how you provide for your family, your wife and your kid. That wasn't always the case. I imagine at some point you were a fan as a younger person, kind of watching this on the TV. How does that story start for you with wrestling?
Man, my first actual memory of like wrestling was actually like I'm from Atlanta. I live in Baltimore now. So like we didn't get the WWE like in Georgia. Like no, you got WCW, brother, and you got them things on Saturday night. Saturday afternoon, and you got it Sunday morning if you woke up early enough, right before church, and that was it. I think it was the first time I ever got cable. Boy, I just dated myself. But it was the first time I got cable, and I think it was like one of the very first episodes of like Monday Night Raw was on TV, and I was blown away. Like, what is this? And then I got to go to like my first like house show. My dad took me to Madison Square Garden when I was like 8, and I just started getting into wrestling big. And I saw Ahmed Johnson for the first time, and I remember seeing him like, yo, that dude is massive, and he was automatically like my favorite wrestler as a kid.
Yeah.
As an adult, not so much, but as a kid, you couldn't tell me different.
So what about Ahmed Johnson? You kind of mentioned like the size and the demeanor, but what kind of like drew you into him?
Man, so Ahmed Johnson, like he had a presence about him. You know, like before the bell rang, before like anything else, like he had a real massive like presence about him. And by that time, man, like I said, I'm impressionable, man. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
By that time, like I was in, you could, this dude couldn't wrestle his way out of a wet paper bag. But at the same time, like as a kid, I thought he was awesome. I remember the story with the program with him and Goldust and losing my mind as a kid. Like, why is he losing? I don't understand it. And then like having my heart broken when he joined the nation. Like, why would he do this? He's my favorite. And then one day I just never saw him again.
So he was your favorite. Do you have like a wrestler that you hated, that like really brought?
As a kid, I hated Bob Backlund. I thought Bob Backlund was an asshole back in the day. I just thought he was. I couldn't explain it. I was like, this dude sucks so much as a kid. He reminded me of like that old like teacher that you just couldn't stand. You know what I'm saying? Like, had a ruler in his hand or some shit like that. I mean, like, as a kid, man, I look back at it now. I'm like, man, you were an idiot as a kid. Like, Bob Backlund's the man. but as a kid, I'm just like, no, dude, Bob Backlund sucks. And when you have the mind of an 8-year-old, man, who cares? It's whatever.
Yeah. So you got in like right before like the Attitude Era kind of came about.
Yeah, by the time the Attitude Era was like a big thing, I was in like full swing of my wrestling fandom, like full swing. Like I loved that. I never missed an episode. I was in love with the Monday Night Wars, man. I thought they were awesome. I would flip back and forth till 11 o'clock. Didn't care. It was cool, man. I had 3 hours of wrestling. Like that first 2 hours. I told somebody before, man. That first hour of WCW at 8 o'clock could not, to this day, cannot be touched. It cannot. The only thing that comes close is maybe NXT Black and Gold. I was like, but man, that first hour of Nitro, man, where you had like the cruiserweights coming out, you would get like a TV title match, and if you were super lucky, you get a U.S. Championship match as well. The second half of that show I couldn't stand because even at that point in time, I'm like 12, 13 years old. I'm just like, yeah, I know how this works. Hogan's going to come out, NWO's going to jump in, show's over. And I kind of got mad because I would nail it every single week. I would nail it. I'm like, I don't want to watch this. This sucks.
Yeah. You were the one that like tuned in. I think a lot of people say at that point in time, WWE had the main eventers, but what they lacked is like the undercard, and WCW thrived.
Yeah, and especially around that time too, especially when they started jumping ship. Yeah, like it was such a big deal to me because I knew who these guys were. So everybody was like, well, who is this guy? And I was like, you shut your mouth. You are in for a treat. Like when the day Rey Mysterio popped up, I nearly shit myself. I was like, holy shit, it's Rey Mysterio. I grew up on Rey Mysterio. Yeah. So like to see him, like I remember those matches with like Juventud, Eddie, Dean Malenko, Psychosis, Super Calo, Silver King, Conan, like Prince Iake, like all of them. Like that cruiserweight TV title thing, you couldn't tell me nothing. And anytime that like Ray did like a Hurricane Rana, I lost my mind. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's that thing that like Eric Bischoff gets so much flack for everything he did wrong. But when you look at 95, 96, before they were 3 hours, he formatted that first hour because they got
it was all you
off the first hour than any other time. So he overdid it in the first hour because that's all that mattered rating wise was the first.
That's all it was first hour, and then by that time though, I was really getting into like WWE, and I was really starting to fall in love with The Rock and that. So usually by that 9 o'clock hour, I was like, well, I kind of saw who I wanted to see, and I know how this second half is going to end. So, click.
Did you ever have somebody like that made the jump to WWE that you were just like, man, they really fucked that
up?
It doesn't just have to be Monday Night War either. It can...
I really think they fucked Taz up. I thought that was because that was right before like dirt sheets became like a real big thing, but you knew it, and so I found ECW on accident as a kid. It came on UPN at 12 o'clock at night. And so one day I was just staying up and I found it and I'm like, yo, what is this? And it was the first time I got introduced to the Dudley Boys. The first time I got introduced into New Jack, Shane Douglas, just incredible. Super Crazy, Tajiri.
Yeah.
It's the first time I got introduced to these guys, man. And I just remember seeing Taz for the first time, and I'm just going, yo, who is this dude? This is the baddest dude on the face of the planet. And then, like, hearing rumors that he was going to show up to the Royal Rumble and then beating the piss out of Kurt Angle, I thought it was like, yo, this dude's the next world champ. Next world champ. And then you realize, oh, shit, he's only like 5'8". Fuck. Yeah, he ain't going nowhere. And then you're just like, shit, man. But even still, I loved him to death, man. I thought he was the greatest thing in the world. I still do. But the one thing that really got me into all that, dude, I thought Mike Awesome was going to be a bigger deal than he turned out to be, man.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me nothing, dude. Mike Awesome and Mike Awesome, Spike Dudley. Good God, those were great. Those were absolutely great. Yeah, him and Masato Tanaka. I just thought those guys were just
beating the shit out of each other.
It was the first time I saw what a Diamond Dust was, and I thought it was the coolest. I'm like, yo, no one else in WWE doing that. Like, that's cool as shit.
Yeah.
But seeing those guys from the ECW make that jump, and then like make it, like, it was, to me, I thought it was great, man. I thought the first time I saw the Dudley Boys, I was like, yes, this is the coolest thing in the world. Yes, give me all of this. Yeah, stuff like that, man. I just absolutely, as a kid, I go back to it all the time. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I watched it more for the entertainment value than anything else. Like, I don't tell people like to match study some of that stuff, but like, I'm like, you want to entertain a crowd? Watch that. Like, they nail it every single Monday.
Yeah. Is there ever a moment where you like stopped watching wrestling?
Several times. Believe it or not, I'm actually in the middle of it now, which is weird, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think right around the PG era, like this is, I kind of like, okay, I really started to realize that I was no longer the demographic, I was cool with it. But at that point in time, that's when I started finding about like indie wrestling and all that good stuff, and that kind of like started my little path into wrestling, becoming a wrestler and all that good stuff. It pick up here and there. Like I said, it picked back up hardcore like during the NXT Black and Gold era. Like it picked up then. By that time I was on my way to the Ring of Honor. So like, that. But then after a while, I just realized, oh, you guys aren't catering to me. That's cool. At that time I kind of realized how big wrestling is, so I can kind of find my own shit, if that makes sense.
Of course. Did you always, like, in your mind, want to be a wrestler?
No. I loved it. There were so many things I wanted to be before I became a wrestler. Then you just kind of realize you kind of size yourself out of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a race car driver in the worst way. And then I realized, oh, my big ass can't fit in this thing. Okay, never mind. I guess I'll play football. And then that kind of became a thing. Like football got me through college and all that good stuff. And then after that, I kind of became a fireman. And so I did that for a good little bit. The kind of first part of my career, I was juggling like two lives, trying my best to make sure the two of them never really touched one another.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about race car driving? What kind of race car driving?
Let's unpack that a little bit.
Oh man, I was really hoping he was going to skate right through that. No, believe it or not, man, I'm a big Formula One fan.
Really?
I'm a big Formula One fan. Yeah. Big Formula One fan. Actually, watching Formula One gave me a better appreciation for NASCAR. Just because for me at first I was like, they're just turning left. Who wants to see this shit? This sucks. Watching Formula One, kind of realizing the difference between the two of them, man, I really wanted to be like I really wanted to do it. But of course, like it's not that big in America. So at the time, how the hell do you get into it? And then by the time I realized what it took to get into it, I was like, I'm already out. Never mind. It's okay. Other than that, man, I like to go fast in my cars. Like they're fun. Me and my dad build cars here and there, all that good stuff. So, it's cool. I have a better appreciation for it. I call those guys are better athletes than some, just because I told somebody before, like I'm from Atlanta. So Atlanta Motor Speedway is like literally at the time, 30 minutes away from my front door. So like I told somebody before, if you think those 70, 80 degree bank turns aren't a thing, like it is, and trying to do 200 miles an hour and keep a car in a straight line, that takes a level of strength and mental aptitude that I just don't have because I'm hitting the wall.
Have you seen the Netflix Formula One series?
Several times. Several times.
My dad was a huge NASCAR. He still is. We grew up a little bit in Alabama. We would go to Talladega every time it came through. I kind of like you said, going left, and it can be kind of boring. So I kind of got out of that. But then I started watching that documentary, and like, it is almost like more interesting than football. Like
the margin of error.
Oh yeah,
is so slim. It's insane. Like the razor's edge these guys ride. Literally, I call it just pure insanity.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite team?
I am a Mercedes-Benz fan. I'm a big Lewis Hamilton fan.
Oh yeah.
He's getting worked right now, dude. Max Verstappen is wearing his ass out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, dude, I was always a big Lewis Hamilton fan. Kiki Raikkonen, like some of those guys. I loved watching the movie Senna. I loved watching that. I thought Rush was a good one too.
Yeah.
I like getting into those. I really think to me it's a fun time.
Yeah. Sorry to keep talking about race cars, or
I don't care. Let's talk about race cars.
Have you seen the Gran Turismo movie?
Not yet.
That's good.
Not yet. Not yet.
Everything about it seems like it would be bad, but it's.
I think that's it. Like everything about it, man. This seems like this is going to be super, super corny, and I really don't want to like already have like a very high expectation for like the Gran Turismo anything. So I'm like, guys, please, don't ruin the one thing that I do enjoy. I do enjoy Gran Turismo. I do enjoy Forza. Like, please don't ruin this for me.
Yeah. No, they did a good job. It was fun.
Okay.
All I got is that Netflix sitcom with Kevin James about NASCAR. That's it. That's all my knowledge.
Yeah. Kevin James.
You got better than some. I think what really bridged the gap for me for Formula One and NASCAR, man, is when Juan Pablo. I am butchering that dude's name. Juan Pablo Montoya. Thank you.
Yeah.
When he jumped ship and he immediately went like, "You guys don't understand. This is a computer on wheels. This is just a motor and four wheels on a steering wheel and very little brakes.
Yeah,
that's it. It is very barest form." And I could to see him like really kind of like, and he didn't really do count to much in like NASCAR. I think he had like maybe a handful of like top 10, top 15 finishes. But at the same time, to see the amount of respect, you guys understand, this is like trying to hold on to a tiger by its tail. It's insane.
Yeah. So racing crazy. I haven't been able to like wake up in time to actually watch the races.
I catch them like I might catch like the replay.
Yeah, but like just the world of it is so interesting, and like
it's insane. It's insane.
Mates and like that dynamic as well. So you wanted to be a race car driver. You became a firefighter. At what point do you decide that you want to do wrestling? Or you also did football as well, right?
Yeah. So I did football, high school, and college. I left school because after a while I was like, man, I don't want to be here anymore. So I kind of left football, kind of left school, joined the fire department at 20. It was either after the Marines, and the fire department said yes first. Honestly, man, it wasn't until I hit about like 30 that I figured I kind of want to see if I got this. It was just a giant goof. It was a giant goof. I didn't think anything of it. I figured I'd give this a few months and it'd be a passing fancy. Like, hey, at least like I said, I tried it. It's whatever. For me, it was like get a better respect and a better understanding of like what guys go through to do that type of stuff. Yeah. I tell people all the time, was like, yeah, you can talk about like, these like NFL, like these guys are this and these guys are that. I'm like, dude, you can't lace that dude's jock strap. You understand? Like, you understand what that dude's got to go through, like to get to that point? And then even the guys who get cut, do you understand like the type of talent these guys have?
Yeah.
Like, dude, shut up. And kind of wrestling sometimes can be the same way. So for me, I'm like, let me put myself through it. But because of the athletic background that I had, man, I took to it super well. I took to it super quick. And just picked up. And once I kind of got a knack for it, man, dude, it was like a duck in water. It was like a duck to water. And I'm like, got this. And I've been running ever since.
Where did you start your training, or how did that process start for you?
Okay, so at the time, let me say this. Yo, if anybody's listening and they want to like go, they want to experience wrestling and train wrestling, you do not have to go somewhere and blow $2, $3, $4, $5,000. You don't. And if anybody says that you do, they are fucking lying to you and they're scamming you out of money. Like you don't. Most places will love to have you come in for like a day rate or maybe like a week and come in, try it, see if you like it before you got to commit anything. And that's what I did. I found Johnny Swinger. Johnny Swinger.
There you go.
There you go. There's a name for you. He was running 2 days a week, literally at the time, $20 drop in. Just for a basic wrestling workout. That's it. And I'm like, well, I got $20 in a few hours. Yeah, sure. Why not? And for a few months, me and him and a few others, we just kind of trained around, whatever. I did some small shows that you guys will never find the video to, thank God, because they were god awful. All that good stuff. And then I did a seminar one day with Dr. Tom Pritchard, and I got made to feel that big at the end of it. And I remember being so angry about it because a lot of bullshit went down during that thing. And I remember calling up Johnny and telling him what happened. And he was like, how do you feel? I was like, I feel like shit. And I never want to feel this way ever again. He goes, I want to take this seriously because I have a room full of people that I now need to prove wrong.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, from here on out, we'll take this super serious. And then so while everybody else would go home, me and Johnny would stay for like another hour. He'd run me through drills and this, that, and the other. He'd bring other people in, run me through matches, da-da-da-da-da. Then I got the eye of Robert Gibson. And then he invited me over to train with him. I knew that like within wrestling, there was a big thing about respect and all this good stuff. So like before I went over there, I looked over at Johnny. He was like, hey, I got an invitation to go train with Robert. Do you mind? And Johnny was adamant, like, go do that. Yeah. Go do that. Please go do that. He was like, I gave you the basics. Robert's going to fill in all the gaps. And then I kind of just stuck with Robert for like a good year and some change. And I remember Robert's big thing was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to see how far this takes me. I don't know. I just want to go far. That's it. I don't know what far entails, And he was like, okay. And then got a few tries for Ring of Honor. And then, here I am.
Are you still doing the firefighting on the side with this?
No. Once I got the invitation to come train with Ring of Honor, I took a shot. I took a chance with myself, sold my house, quit my job, kind of cashed out, and then moved. One of the scariest things I ever did in my life, man. I'm working somewhere else and I got some other things going on, but like, it was scary because I wasn't sure I didn't know what was going to happen. I took away the safety net, and I was like, all right, man, let's just go. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle at first, but once I got my footing, man, I just took off running because I knew I couldn't go back. So it was like, yo, if I can't go back, what am I looking back for? Let's just keep moving forward.
Exactly. In between, so you're working with Johnny Swinger, Robert, as well. When do you kind of start doing your own matches and like kind of?
Well, at the time I was doing some shows out in like Statesboro. And then after like so long, you kind of realize that, wait a minute, like I'm the best, I'm the smartest guy in the room. And I'm like, no. So Robert started running his own shows. So I kind of got on with him, started doing some other things. Georgia independent wrestling's weird. For those who know, it's like no shock. It's the South, man.
Yeah.
And they like who they like.
Of course.
It's the simplest way to put it. They like who they like. And there's nothing that you're going to do that's going to remotely change their mind. I had a few guys who I'm still close to this day give me some of the best advice ever, and they were like, "You can't be here." Like, they didn't say it to be like me. There's like, "This isn't for you." Like, you got to go. There's nothing for you here, you know. And that was my cue. And I knew exactly when they said it, I knew exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And then so I just, man, you want to talk about just putting a pedal to the metal, and just I would for 2 years before I left for Ring of Honor, man, I grinded my ass off. Where I would do a show Thursday in Georgia, I drive to Alabama, do a show there on Friday, drive to Mississippi on Saturday, do a show there, then do a show in Nashville on Sunday, then come back home on Monday and go right back to work.
Yeah.
And then the next month do it again after having like every single weekend full, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like just trying to just find my own way.
Yeah.
And kind of find my own direction, man. There's a lot of independents out there, man, that I really owe a debt of gratitude, because they gave me the opportunity to really like hit it. You know, like, hey, man, we're going to just go for it. And they were, you know, and it's one of those things, man. Some of my best character work I ever found was just gave a microphone, just let them talk shit. Like, nice. Let's see what happens.
To maintain a schedule like that, is that a deal where promotions in these different states are reaching out to you, or you're just emailing, you're just doing your thing?
Man, I've been at this for 10 years, brother, and I'm still cold calling. Now I don't cold call as much as I have to anymore, but like, you know, I still cold call. It's just now I'm shooting at a different basket than everybody else, you know. And that's not to knock at anybody, but it's just like, you know, hey man, like you shoot your shots, I'm shooting mine. Just sometimes everybody's shooting a different game, you know, if you know, whatever. A lot of them already knew what I was doing anyway. And I was like, hey, yeah, I'll be here this day because I'm doing this. I'm a professional. I was a professional before I even stepped into a wrestling ring. So me being a professional is nothing. I actually attract other professionals. The ironic thing is I've met some of the most unprofessional sons of bitches in my entire life in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Like the job description is within the title. Professional, be a professional. Communicate. It's the one thing I wish professional wrestling had more of. Just communicate. It's stop taking stuff so personal. Just be transparent, man. We're all here to make money. Like, I want to see my team win. I want to see you win. You should want to see me win too. But whatever.
Yeah.
But for 2 years, man, like that was the grind. And then I moved up to Maryland, and it doesn't stop. It just the only thing that really changes was just the roads I was taking. So even now, I'm still traveling, just sometimes on a broader scale, where it's not so much where I have to drive to Alabama or drive to whatever. Now I'm getting, you know, flown to Texas. I do 2 shows in Texas. I get flown to Chicago, do a show over there. Then I fly home. I do a show in DC as soon as I touch down that Sunday. Then I go home. You know, nothing really changes. Just, you know, the zeros in my check.
Yeah. So you mentioned character work. Where does the evolution of your character, like, what was it at the beginning, and how does it start to evolve to the point, let's say, like right at the end of that 2-year grind?
Ooh, man. So when I first started, man, like I was just I was one of the bigger guys in a locker room. Like I said, man, I came from college football, and on top of that, I was like 10 years removed from it at the time. I was fighting fire, and my department wasn't just like one of those podunk, we don't run but like 10 calls a day. No, man, depending on what apparatus you're on, you're running 24 calls a shift, which means 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. You were humping it, getting it, you know. So like having to, you know, balance like all of that while trying to maintain this schedule, you know, at the same time trying to, like say, I'm living 2 separate lives. I was living two separate lives, but it was allowing me a chance to like get into a side of myself that normally I don't get a chance to be. And as a firefighter, I have to be a very certain way. I have to speak a certain way. I have to appear a certain way. I have to like look a certain way. You know, to me, it's really just is a joke. Like I put on a mask when I go to the fire department, But it was when I wrestled and I could just kind of like take this mask off. I'm like, yo, this is who I am now. When I first started, man, it was real just, hey, what's going on? Happy to be here. Da 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 da. And then I realized that like there was a lot of people doing that. A lot of people doing the, hey, I'm so happy to be here. I'm a blue chip. Da 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 da. And all the time I'm like, no, I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man doing a grown man job, doing things that you wouldn't do. No, let me tell you about myself real quick. And man, it was a lot of that. Those road trips, man, were a lot of fun because I'm very select about who I keep in the car with me. Like my circle's very small, and I audit that circle like constantly because the people who I want to be around are the people who are doing better than me. Like if I'm in a room of people, we all want Benzes. I'm like, cool. I want to be in the room where everybody. I have a Benz. I want to be in the room where everybody has Ferrari. Yeah, character work, man. Like I said, those road trips, man, with those guys, man, and it wasn't just for me. It was a lot of us. Like we all had notebooks, and those man, it was a long trip, man, from Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Nashville. Man, you talk a lot, and that's all we would do. Like we take turns driving, and then we all sit there and we do match study with one another, or we'll sit there and just shoot the shit about wrestling, or just whatever said in the car stays in the car. It's no big deal. But a lot of times guys would have questions about like characters, about gear, about attire, about even interest music and interests. And we sit there all day long and just talk about it and go back and forth. And it's like, hey, what about this music? And we put it on and we listen to it. And then we give our critiques about this, that, and the other. And it was this thing of everybody in the car. There was nobody who ever felt as if like, oh, I don't need this. We were all here trying to get better. We were all here trying to just, be better performers. Because when that bell rings, man, yo, showtime. We're trying to make money, and the only way we know how to make money was, find our own brand of entertainment, find our own audience, and then appeal to that audience, and then with it, man, like they'll become a natural evolution of like who you are as a performer, who you are as a character, and really as a person. So like a lot of that stuff, I look back at it now and I smile because I'm like, man, like without that, I'm sure not here right now, kind of finding different ways like to make the show. You never want to make yourself bigger than the show, but you want the show to be bigger because you were on it.
Yeah, of course. During that 2 years of grinding, what are some like the biggest moments for you where you kind of like felt like the momentum was going in your favor and like I'm doing something really cool here?
Nashville. It was a trip to Nashville, man. Like the shows in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, I mean, they were fun. They're a lot of fun, but to me, man, they were like preseason games, leading up to Sunday. Southern Underground Pro, love that place. I wish it was still around. The Southern Underground Pro, man, that was the epitome of a bar show, standing room only. But man, you want to talk about just a aura and a presence about a place that, man, you just want to be there because something was always going to happen. It was the first time I got actually involved in like storylines because I wasn't like a main player at the time, which was fine. I was happy to be there, but I worked my way up to get to that point to where like, okay, we can trust O'Shea with all of this and let him run with it. Man, I owe Southern Underground Pro a lot. There's no way I make it halfway as far as I do without those guys and everybody, whoever was like in there, guys like, Kerry Awful, Nick Iggy, Kevin Koo, Dominic Guarini, Marco Stunt, AC Mack, all like Derek Neal, Jay Newman, Adam Priest, like don't make it halfway through.
Yeah.
What a crew, man. What a crew. And here's the thing, man, I absolutely love those guys, man. Absolutely love those guys. It was such a thing. They really gave me the opportunity to really go out there against guys who I looked up to, and then let me perform to the best of my abilities to show that I can do this on a very high level.
What were a few of those matches for you?
My very first one against AJ Gray. I ain't gonna lie, AJ beat the shit out of me that night. God damn. Brett, there's several times that me and Brett Ison went around and around and around in circles. Getting a chance to work with Anthony Henry, getting a chance to work with JD Drake, getting a chance to work with Kurt Stallion. all those guys, man. That was an apps like Calvin Tankman too, for example, like
Yeah.
Manders, one called Manders, like a lot of bangers, like a lot of heavy dudes just throwing lumber around in
Yeah.
downtown Nashville on a Sunday.
I have a question. So you mentioned 3 people. You mentioned Calvin Tankman, JD Drake, Anthony Henry. I want you to rank the people that you at least like. So you got the kicks by Anthony Henry, you've got the chops by JD Drake, and then the
You can
fucking
stop right there. You can stop right there. Like those two alone, I'm like, you're good. You can stop right there. They suck so much in the best way possible. Like I remember first time Anthony would kick me, and I just went, "Yo, holy!" Like I had to catch up. Like I've never been kicked that hard before in my life. And JD will chop the soul out your back. Like he'll chop you so you'll feel your soul just leave, man. Those boys bring some wood, and you think twice about it. But those are great times because, like, all right, cool, man. If I want to hang with them, I'm gonna have to hang with them, and so it's just like, all right, cool. You take your best shot, I'll give you mine. We'll see who's standing at the end of it.
So that truly is something that fires you up, like to get chopped that hard, to be kicked that hard, that like, okay.
Oh no. No. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it.
Okay.
I fucking hate it. But if you do it, I know what type of day I'm about to have. And then from there, I can adjust myself accordingly. Like, okay, this type of day we're going to have. Cool. All right, bet. Let's go.
Yeah. How are the ride homes? Because I don't think people think about like the ride homes after like a chop like that when you've got your seatbelt, or the kicks when you've got it. Like cars aren't comfortable as is.
Yeah, man, especially when you've been on the road since Thursday. And the last leg is usually the worst leg, and you're just getting the shit kicked out of you for the better part of 10 minutes. And then you got to take this 4-hour drive back home. Be honest with you, though, they weren't bad. You're riding so high. You're so pumped. You're so juiced about what's going on. You don't really think about it. Monday, however, Monday sucks. Monday sucks. But all day Sunday, I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
You ever have to like, because I know you said you kind of kept those lives separately. Is there ever a moment where you had to like explain like, why is there a handprint on my chest or
One of my very first matches, one guy threw an errant punch, and I still have the scar to this day, and caught me right on the corner of the eye. And as soon as he hit me, and just blood pouring down the side of my face. And it was so weird because it felt like I was sweating.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it got really wet all of a sudden. Why is my face? Why do it taste pennies? Oh, what is happening? And I remember the guy going, oh shit. And hearing the ref going, oh shit. Like, what do you mean? Oh, like, what's going on? Why am I so wet? And just like doing this and seeing my hand like covered in blood and just looking up at this guy like, I am going to murder you. But then having to like get myself like, okay, hold on. They had me manager at the time, so he patched me out. I'm like, yo, how bad is it? He's like, yo, you're gonna need some stitches. So we finished the match. I go to urgent care and I get like 3 stitches. Look, it's smaller now, but I get like 3 stitches here. And I go to work with this Band-Aid on my face, and they go, "What happened to you?" And I was like, I really don't want to. I just know some bullshit, just kind of goofing off. Well, it's the fire department, just like a bunch of high school girls sometimes, and so like they just start chit chapping, da 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 da. And then my captain shows up, and he's like, "Hey, we need to talk." And I'm like, "What I do?" He was like, "Hey, what happened here?" I'm like, yo, it's nothing. I just got knocked in the face. So were you fighting? Like they were thinking like I got into a bar fight. They thought like I was fighting people. Like, what is he doing on his off time? And then I had to come clean and tell everybody that I professionally wrestle. And they're like, for real? I'm like, yeah. We thought that was fake. I'm like, well, apparently it's not. Okay, apparently it's not. And of course, that started a whole new round of shit I got. But for the most part, they're like a lot of guys thought it was pretty cool. My officers, they were like, yo, as long as it doesn't interfere, what you got to do with the fire department? Hey, man, just don't get hurt. I'm like, I can do that.
With keeping those lives so separate, what is the most, I guess, ridiculous wrestling story that you've ever had to tell that just threw people off because they're not in that world.
Okay, so I'm doing this. It's a shit show. It is a shit show. And they bring me in. It was supposed to be like a tag match, but one guy didn't show up. Now it's supposed to be a triple threat, but the other guy didn't show up. So now it's just one-on-one. Oh, but guess what? The other guy shows back up, so it's a triple threat again. Shows up with like his baby mama and his baby, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to talk through this match. The third guy with the kid, he would always just like, oh yeah, let's do this, and then he would just leave. We're in the middle of the match. Like we're in the middle of calling this match. I'm like, the fuck? So okay, me and the guy, we put this match together, and then he would come back and he'd add some more stuff. Then he would just leave. Like, what is happening? Like, what is going on?
He's just making sure he's not bumping. That's all he's doing.
Yeah. So he would come back, and we finally like put the match together, and then like his baby mom shows up, just like shoves a baby, goes here, shoves a baby in his arms, and then she just leaves. And I'm like, whatever, not my kid, not my circus. I don't care. It's whatever. So, we're waiting to go. This guy's still holding a baby. Once again, I'm none the wiser. I'm in my own little world. Now our match is up. Cool. Guy's still holding his baby. All right, no big deal. Music hits. First guy goes out. This dude's still sitting there in Gorilla holding his baby. Is anybody gonna do anything about this baby? Or is this baby a part of this? Like, what's happening? Then all of a sudden, another set of music hits. It's not mine, it's his. And he goes, all right, brother, see you out there. My man's about to walk out here with a baby in his arms. And sure as shit, woo, let's go, baby. Baby in his arms. And I am sitting here like, what the fuck is going on?
Did he just hand it to someone?
So like apparently his baby mama was there. Baby starts crying, and this dude's trying his best to like look at me. Number one, hands the baby off to his baby mama, get in the ring like nothing happened. Baby's bawling its ass off. And I'm sitting here like, you've got to be kidding me. My music hits, I go out there, I'm like, whatever, man. I've been paid. Let's just get this over with so I can get out of there. We start the match, and the dude with the baby begins to forget everything. Forgets everything. Forgets the spots we all called, forgets his spots, and he starts going into business for himself. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. What is going on? Every chance I got to throw this dude out the ring, I just threw him out the ring. And every time he get back in to do some shit, I would no-sell it and just throw him. I'm like, stay the fuck out the ring. The match is finally over. This dude tries to come back in to like get some other shit in, I guess. I don't know. I literally just he's coming to the rope and I'm like, no, sir. I boot him right in the face. Like, stay out of here. And then I just go to the back. And they was like, hey man, great match. And I never wanted to murder people so bad in my life. I'm like, good match. The fuck are you talking about? You didn't see that turd that everybody just shit in the middle of the ring? At that point in time, I was like, you know what? You gonna stay for intermission? Nope. I just packed my stuff, and then left. And I was like, please never call me again.
Is that a thing that actually happens where you just like lose my number?
Yes. Oh, yes. I said to a number of places, like, just lose my number. Like, please, just, hey, this isn't a good fit. Like, thanks for the opportunity, but this isn't a good fit.
So, anytime you walk into a locker room, are you looking for a baby? And if there's a baby, are you just out?
If I see a baby, it's like, not during my match. Like, he's not in my match. Not in my match. That's all I care about.
Awesome. Yeah, that might be one of my favorite stories we've ever heard on here. So you've got the great moments where you're having these matches with like all of these great guys, and then you have like the shit show matches. Then you get your tryout with Ring of Honor. You quit your job. You move to Baltimore. What is that process like, and what is going through your mind?
So, like I said, moving up here because I had to find knew everything. I got accepted of 2018.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't until April. And it was like, hey, take your time, get up here, within, just amount of time, whatever. It took me 6 months in total to kind of figure out what we were going to do and find a new job and, this, that, and the other. Because at the time I was not getting paid. Which was I got it. I was like, yeah, man, no, I understand. I got to kind of start all over again. But I was willing to bet on myself about that, just because it was something that I wanted. Once again, I had some people to prove wrong.
Yeah.
I had a few trainers, assistant trainers, I had to prove wrong. Just because it's like, okay, cool. If you can't tell me I can't do something, I'm like, well, watch this. I'm gonna go do it now. But like the first day I show up to the Ring of Honor dojo, man, that was wild. Because it was brand new. It's like it's literally it's the only way I can really make it make sense for most people is just like when you're on a college football team, like when you're in high school, you think you're the man on your high school football team.
Yeah.
Until you get to college. Then you realize everybody on that team was the man in high school. So you walk in thinking you know something, and then you realize you don't know anything. There is independent wrestling, and then there's wrestling for TV, and the two aren't as close as you think it is. And I had to kind of relearn a lot of different stuff. Like relearn a lot of different stuff without losing myself and losing because I didn't want to lose what got me up there in the first place.
Yeah.
So like that was it was adjustment. It was adjustment to because game speed. It's like game speed. You watch practice and everybody's kind of like half speed. Then game time and everybody just turns it on. Like it's like that. It's like that where it's like you get out there and you see guys training and you're like, oh man, these guys are going 100 miles an hour. I don't know if I'll ever keep up. And then you kind of like trust the process that they kind of set forth for you. And then you kind of realize you can keep up with quite a bit of them, and the rest of them, you can actually set the pace.
And was that the hardest adjustment? Was just I guess that's a work ethic deal. I don't have the right vocabulary to describe it. Is that the hardest part? Is it for wrestling or preparing for TV? Is it the formatting? Is it the staying under times? Like what was the hardest adjustment piece?
Man, a lot. The hardest was it was never about like the physicality. Man, if anything that was hard, man, it was checking my own ego. It was checking my own ego. Man, I thought it was I thought I was the man. I thought I had it. I was like, yo, I'm up here now. Let's do this. I'm gonna rock this shit. Oh, I gotta start over. What? Which means all that now just got me just to the point where I have to start. Oh shit. And it was having to sit there, realize that I wasn't the best person in the room anymore, and having to humble myself enough to like understand that. And believe it or not, somebody was like, it's a game that has to be played.
Yeah.
Like it's a game, man. You got to know who's on the board. You got to know what pieces are moving where. You got to kind of get in where you fit in, and then you make your moves from there. It was humbling because I'm so used to getting things like immediately, not in the sense of like I'm entitled to it, but I adapt to. I can adjust game speed very, very well, so that when time comes like to perform or anything like that, I got it. Like, yep, sure. No, I'm very coachable. I'm very, very coachable. That was the biggest thing that everybody's ever said to me. It's like, yo, you can coach the shit out of him. Like he'll do exactly what you need him to do. But man, when you were talking about when I finally got an opportunity to go forth and do something, I was gonna make sure everybody knew exactly who I was when the opportunity came. It's just one of those where I had to kind of sit back, wait my turn, let everybody else who's been here in the system a little bit longer, who have a better idea and better grasp of what's being expected of them, to kind of do their thing. But man, when my turn's open, homie, you gotta kick the door off the hinges.
What was that first Ring of Honor match like for you?
Scary. I talked a lot of shit to get here, so it was one of those where, hey man, it's coming due. Like you got to perform. You got to pay out now.
Yeah.
They're calling it. What you got? Um, because it really, I was nervous climbing down the stage because I was like, man, please don't trip, please don't trip and fall, please don't trip and fall. Um, but when the bell rang, man, you want to talk about a beautiful silence. Like nothing else in the world mattered to me. Like it was like I said, my very first match was COVID era, so they like no one really saw it outside of TV, and it was already quiet anyway. But to be honest with you, that place could have been packed to the rafters.
Yeah.
I never would have heard a soul.
You mentioned the COVID era, and especially we haven't had a lot of people were on the independents during COVID, and that kind of shut things down. You're still wrestling, but you're not wrestling in front of anybody. What is that like, especially for I know you said you kind of toned it out, but like wrestling is such a feeding off of the crowd to tell the story. How do you tell that story in silence?
Well, the beauty of it, the beauty of it is no matter what, I'm still going to tell a story.
Yeah.
Even for like Ring of Honor, there's still TV cameras out there. Somebody's going to see this story.
Yeah.
Even if there's nobody there, I'm going to tell the story. The one thing, even when I get a chance like to teach kids, I tell them all the time. I was like, hey, you got to understand, the people in the audience, they are paying their $20 to not be told a story, but to experience a story. How can you tell someone's story and not say a word to them? They want to experience it, so you got to give them something to feel. And that was the thing, is I was going to give you something to feel. And since the crowd wasn't going to make any noise, I was going to make all the noise. You were going to hear me. It's the only time that you could hear me over everything. That's never going to happen again. So for me, I'm like, oh, this is too quiet for y'all. Let me make some noise for you then. I want everybody in this building to be looking at me because I'm the one talking. I am the one commanding everything. So for me, it was a welcomed challenge, because for me, I was like, when you watch this back, crowd or not, you know exactly what's going on. I don't need this like look at this cool move that he did. I'm like, why? No one's here to see it. No one's here to react to it. So screw it. I'm here to tell a story. So let me show you the story of my struggle.
Yeah. That first match, it's silent. Who are you up against?
Sledge.
You guys
Sledge. We had three of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We had three, man. That was one of the best promos, man, I've ever put on tape. One take, straight through.
Yeah.
Just nailed it. Just nailed it. I've been doing stuff like that for a while. Working with Sledge was fun. Sledge was one of the newer guys that came right after me. To get there. So we were always kind of jockeying. Like he was a rival. He was, because we were the two new big guys coming in there. And so we was always like jockeying for position, to kind of do, whatever, and like who can make what, and who can, whatever you can do, I can do better, and this, that, and the other, and like I learned a lot within that time work of just like how to like emote and how to work a story, and once again know the line, remember the line, but I kind of forget the line type deal, man. Those three matches really, to me, I wanted to show everybody. Really, I want to show people behind the camera, like, yo, like, whatever you give me, I got it.
Yeah. Throughout your time with Ring of Honor, because you're in a unique position to where, like, it's not the same Ring of Honor experience that a lot of people had, where you've got those like, crowds and like all of this stuff. What are some of your favorite moments, and what are some of the things that you're most proud of from your time with Ring of Honor?
Okay, one of the first memories I have of Ring of Honor is we did the Atlanta-Nashville loop, and I drove down with some of the rest of the dojo, because we kind of do ring crew, because you got paid to do ring crew. They put you up and all that good stuff. At the time, my family was still in Atlanta, so I got to hang out with them for a little bit, this, that, and the other. But the first time we were at Center Stage in Atlanta, I kind of come out to do some other stuff, and the crowd pops. the crowd pops for the dude in a suit, which I was like, oh shit, this is what's happened. And then the next night we go to Nashville. Still running strong, man.
Yeah.
And PCO's out there doing a security spot. No, out there they mean Scott's for security. And it's like, oh, Shay, go out there real quick. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man, come on. And as soon as I get out there, Nashville pops.
Yeah.
And they start. So Nashville is the first city to actually sing my name. So instead of Olay, they always say O'Shea.
Uh-huh.
And so there's a lot of sup people in the crowd because they're hoping I was going to do something.
Uh-huh.
And so they see me out there and they just started going, O'Shea, 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 O'Shea. And I'm kind of going, no, please don't. No, nobody wants to get their ass kicked to a soundtrack. Please, no. As PCO just begins to just beat the shit out of me because he could. There's that. The first time I got to meet the Briscoes in the ring. The first time I got to meet the Briscoes in the ring was a security thing. And they were like, hey, we need you to go out there, kind of like, it's like 3 or 4 of us, go out there, like kind of stand between them, make sure you don't do anything. They shouldn't hit you, but like if they do, just go down. Which was, I should have known was code is, they're going to hit you.
Yeah,
they're going to hit you. They're going to hit you hard. And I remember just sitting there looking at them, and they were like, "Ooh, you got something to say to me, boy?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on, Mark. Come on, man. Don't do it." And he just, wow, right in the mouth. And I'm like, "Well, I'm out." And I just took it to the floor. I'm going to stay right here. And then like performing wise, man, the one that stands out the most, man, is Final Battle 2021. The last show of the Sinclair era, man. I got a chance to open the show with Moses and Khan, and that was a thing, man. That was the one thing we're in the dojo together, like all 3 of us. So like for us to be able to open the show as like the last like dojo class, like meant a lot. There's a picture I have a few of those pictures where the 3 of us kind of looking up at the lights and the crowd's kind of giving us like our due. Man, that meant a lot. It was bittersweet because we knew it was going to be like the last one of us like all together. We always wish we kind of had a longer run in terms of just like with a crowd, but like, you know, it is what it is. But like that night, I'll always remember.
Can you and if it's a brief version, if it's a long version, it doesn't matter, but kind of the Shane Taylor promotion, how that got put together and your inclusion in that, if you could talk us through that a little bit.
Man. So Shane was trying to put something together to kind of like on the same vein of like Floyd Mayweather type deal. He came into the dojo one day and just kind of started talking, just kind of going through his whole thing. And from that point on, I'm like, dude, I'll follow you anywhere. Like, I'll run through it. Like, Shane has his way of talking, man, that like you'll run through a brick wall. Like, sure. You'll run through and go like, what else, sir? You know, it's whatever. They weren't really sure, like at the time, like the powers be weren't really sure what they're going to do with me yet, all that good stuff. So Shane was like, yo, like, give him a few matches. And if you like them, like, give them to me. Like, I'll do it. I'll take them. And that's where like those matches came from with Sledge, where we kind of really just kind of went for it. They kind of let me go on my own, kind of do my thing. Our last match was supposed to go 12 minutes. We ended up going 23. And I swear to God, I thought we were fired. And they were like, no, that was so good. Like, we just let you guys keep going. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, sweet. And at the end of it, Shane pulled me aside and goes, hey, man, like, you're up. Like, this is for you. Like, you're in now. Like the promos they thought I did was great, man. They started giving me some other stuff. Like they gave me a lot of the 8-man stuff, a lot of the 6-man stuff. They gave me the survival of the fittest. So that was a lot of fun. Getting a chance to work with like, you know, Dragon Lee, Roosh, you know, and Alt Bestia, getting a chance to work with like, you know, Kenny King, and then get a chance to work with like, you know, Brody, you know, all those guys, man. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people who like I will always root for, you know, because Shane got a chance to like put me in a position to where like I can like, you know, they weren't like, I don't want to say like idols or anything like that, but they were coworkers now. Like, so no one really looked at me like, oh, O'Shea's just a dojo boy. He's like, nah, man, he's with us now. You know, so that felt really good. Getting a chance to train with like guys like, you know, Will Ferreira and like, you know, Jay Lethal and Gresham, all those guys, man. I owe those guys a gratitude, a monstrous gratitude to debt. just because like without them, like I said, I'm nowhere near. I'm not half the wrestler I am if it wasn't for those guys. If it wasn't for those years I spent in that dojo.
Awesome. And to kind of piggyback off of like somebody looking out for you or like kind of like a relationship you have, can we talk about Joe Black and getting those beads and like what that meant to you? And you were kind of one of the first that he passed that torch to, and now it's become this almost family, and it's branching off where you've given Alex Kane his beads, and you've got like different families within it. What was that initial interaction like, and then what has it meant to you going forward, and kind of the bond that everybody has?
Joe was one of the first guys in Georgia who really just kind of like saw what I was like. He saw the potential in me and what I could really do. And we've had a handful of matches, even prior to me leaving, where to me he was big bro. Like Joe Black, he will always be. He's always like he's my big bro. Like he's my OG. Joe Black is my OG. And then even when I got a chance to come back and wrestle with him, our latest, like a few years ago, he was so proud of like the wrestler that I became in that time that I decided to leave. The beads themselves, man, are more of just like it's more of a token of like, I see you. Like I see what you're doing. I see what you're all about. And I see how you're going about your business, and I can respect that. And, respect earned is respect given. And so like to see these beads like really get passed on and become really their own thing, which really wasn't the intent, but man, do I love it. I even see other people with beads, and I would be like, hey man, where'd you get those beads from? And some people are like, no man, I didn't take these from you, man. I was like, where is any other? I would never claim this. And I'm like, all right, just checking. Just want to make sure, like it's cool. People come up to me all the time, and like other wrestlers, some of the young wrestlers, like, hey man, I wanna work towards getting a set of beads. And it's always, I'm a video game head. I'm a big nerd in video games. So like I always said, like, getting these beads isn't like some sort of like, this isn't like something where you got to fulfill like a certain criteria and then all of a sudden you get them. I'm like, man, this is like some secret boss type stuff where like nobody knows what you got. Yeah, nobody knows what you got to do, but you have to do a sequence of things, and if you're lucky, maybe we'll show up. And then even when we show up, now you got to beat us to get one. And then if you lose, man, there's no save point. You don't get to go back. It's like, no, once you lose. Like, that's it. So like it's fun to see them kind of turn into their own thing. It's fun to see like the lore of these beads kind of like grow into something else. But it's wild just to see, like, anytime I've got like fan art, and that's the first thing people always do is like, yo, the beads are cool. Like, it's always the beats. And I'm like, yo, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. We are based out of Raleigh. We work with a company called United Pro Wrestling, and we had Tim versus Alex. Yeah. And it's like the two families. You got like the Black Cloud, and then you've got the Kaiju. So it's super cool. And then just recently, Jackson Drake got the beats from Tim. It's kind of like the newest line.
Mm-hmm. So it's the family grows, man. The family grows.
Definitely awesome. And we had Joe Black on. It's been a couple weeks now, but like that dude is. I don't think he gets talked about enough and what he means to wrestling.
No. Joe deserves a lot more than what he's been given. And I told that to his face, and I'll say that loud. I'll say that loud to anybody. He got a chance to get on NXT. Oh, he almost missed that kick. It was one of those things, but he got a chance to go NXT, and he was like, I got to find a way to get down there. I got to find a place like to crash, because I think it was like last minute.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everything he ever did for me, like lead up to that point where I was like, how long you got to be down there for? He's like, man, just tonight, and we'll turn back around. I was like, yo, here's $80.
Yeah.
Like, get a room. Like, I got it. He's like, I can't pay you back. I'm like, good, because I wasn't expecting you to. Like, take it. Like, go. Like, this is an opportunity that I don't want to get left in the dust because of circumstance.
Yeah.
Like, take it. Go, because you never know what's going to happen. So go. I don't want it to be like, well, I didn't have any money. Like, no, fuck that. Like, go. And ever since then, man, like, Joe's always like looked out for me. Joe has always like been there, and like Joe's the first person to tell me when I screw up, and he's always the first person to tell me like when like to praise me. So like I have in and out of the ring, I have a very a big amount of respect. Big, like it's bottom of my heart for Joe.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then the last thing that or on a serious note that I would talk about is I don't remember the exact year, but you made the very brave decision. You came out as bisexual in a profession that has a connotation of being not the most accepting in some circumstances. What was that process like for you? And I just want to say thank you because I know there's a lot of people out there that's meant a lot of too. But like, talk us through that if you don't mind.
Yeah, man. So I've been bi since I was like about 22, like when I kind of really started understanding
Yeah,
like what was going on. But at the time, like I didn't know what it was. I didn't really have a word for it because I just kind of figured it was one of those things where I'm just like, I'm just being whatever.
yeah,
Um, and then I just kind of really started kind of accepted it, kind of like, oh, okay, well, this starts to, make sense about a lot of different things. But I had to keep it quiet because of the fact like I worked in the fire department. And if you think the wrestling business isn't that accepting, brother, let me tell you about the fire department. It could be a thing, it could be a thing.
yeah,
And at the time, there were some guys who were out in the fire department, and I knew the struggle that they had to go through, and it was already. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to watch. I'm like, yo, what is your guy's problem? But at the same time, I'm in a predominantly white department. So they already got one strike against me already. And I'm like, do I really want to play with a 2-stroke penalty already? Like, goodness
yeah,
gracious. So I kind of kept it to myself because I had a career and I wasn't trying to jeopardize it for, at the time, I was like for what?
yeah,
Just to do whatever, like, I'm sorry. And this kind of makes it horrible. I didn't want to be a martyr. Like,
yeah,
nah, I don't want to be a martyr for this. Like, for what? But eventually, man, I was like, yeah, I can't keep doing this to myself. I can't keep like just keeping it to myself, and because I was a big component. Like, whose business is it? It's my business, so I don't really have to share this with anybody. But eventually, it kind of got to a point where like talking to some other friends, and hearing them struggle, and I was like, okay. And it got to a point where it kind of hit a little too close to home, and I'm like, okay, all right, like watch this. And I did it for me, but I kind of did it for everybody else to kind of be like, hey, look, man, listen, ain't nobody gonna say nothing to you. Like, trust me, ain't nobody gonna say nothing to you. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to you. And if they do, like, you come get me,
yeah,
and then we'll see what they got to say from there. And it was the first time I got a chance to really use my platform and use like my positioning within wrestling to kind of like take a stand and be like, hey man, this is who I am. Like, you ain't gotta like it, it's not for you to like, but this is who I am. And well, suck it, so whatever.
yeah. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And for anybody out there that might be going through something similar or kind of scared to be in that position, what do you have for someone like they don't even have to be wrestlers, but like, do you have any words?
Yeah, man, it's okay to be scared. It's so okay to be scared, man. I've been scared for years, and honestly, like when I look back at it, man, that was my biggest thing. I was scared. I was scared the way I was scared about how my family would take me. I was scared about how my friends would take me, how my job. I was afraid of losing everything. I was so scared. I was so scared. But then eventually it gets to a point, man, where when you're ready, like not to be scared anymore, like we're all here for you. We're all here. We're all waiting for it. That dude's about to score again. Jesus. Like we're, we're all here for you. We're all waiting for you. Like no one's going to push you. No one's going to drag it out of you. When you are ready, we will be right here, ready for you and anybody else, with all the love and acceptance in the world. And I told a bunch of people, if for whatever reason your dad doesn't accept you anymore, well, guess what? I'm your dad now, and I'm super proud of you.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
Really appreciate you sharing that story, and thank you for, like you said, kind of taking a stand not only for yourself but for others, because I'm sure that's made a difference in countless lives. We like to end things on a less serious note. Christian, do you want to say your favorite question about messages?
Oh yeah, what's the weirdest DM you've ever got?
I got some dude who swears he wants me to pile drive him.
Oh
He goes,
yeah,
"Can you please pile drive me, King?" And I'm like, first of all, brother, whoa, whoa. Second of all, like this is a business. So let's talk about this price real quick, and then we can maybe get down to business. But until then, you're not getting your jollies for free over here, buddy Rowe. You got to pay me, boy.
what's your budget, brother?
What's the budget? What's the budget, baby? Let's talk about it. I'll be honest with you, man. Like I get them here and there. That one by far, like forever takes the cake. But I usually cut people off at the pass. Like I'm very professional, but so I tell people all the time, you want to slide in my DMs, like go for it. You're going to be horribly disappointed when it's nothing but just talk about business inquiries because that's all I'm about. Like if it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense, and I'm not trying to hear it. I got all that somewhere else. Don't need that nonsense.
Yeah. Speaking of booking, what is the best way for somebody to get in contact to book you? If anybody's
so you can get me like usually on like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You DM me either way. Apparently 'cause that's still a thing. But for professionals who are listening, it's bookoshayallday at gmail.com. Okay. That is my official business and booking email. It comes directly to me. Doesn't go to anybody else. No one else. I don't have an agent. I don't have a manager. I don't have a booking agent placed, whatever. No, it's all me. You discuss everything with me, for me, by me. That's pretty much about it. Like I say, if you want merch, you can find me on whatamaneuver.net. I'm also for YouWear. We get a lot of exclusive stuff as well. You can always catch me on the tables. I keep a lot of random stuff on there that like you don't really see anymore because I just kind of keep some one-off shirts. I just kind of like, I just kind of want to hang out with. But yeah, man, like if you see me, come to a show, especially even the DMV, man. Like I'm a pretty big deal up and down the East Coast, brothers. Like come on out, come to a show, say what's up.
I would definitely would love that. I do have one final question for you. You mentioned the DMV, Royal Farms or Wawa?
Deep cut.
Okay. That's a layered question, my friend. That's a layered question because it depends on what we're going for. I tell people all the time, some of the best chicken in the game right now is Royal Farms. Royal Farms chicken cannot be beat. It can't. Yeah. For everything else, Sheets,
not even Wawa.
Now, I'll take Wawa does have a mean sandwich. Wawa has a mean sandwich. Wawa has a mean sandwich. But man, there's something about like a double steak burrito, white rice, black beans, pico, salsa, lettuce with tater tots.
Yeah.
My God.
And
you want to talk about his protein? Oh, I'm taking a nap.
Yeah. We have
and all the taco sauce. I'm talking a packet of taco sauce per bite.
Yeah, we hear a lot of like, what is your go-to after show thing? And a lot of people say Sheets because it's always open.
It's always open. It's always fresh.
Yeah.
Now, once again, though, I'm a Southern boy. In a perfect world, you direct me to a QT. It's on. You give me to a QT, it's on. It's the one thing about living up north that I miss is QTs. I miss QTs so much.
Oh yeah, I'm a sucker for like I could do a podcast about regional gas stations.
I listen to it too. I still listen to it.
This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk,
man.
especially for those.
Dude, this is a blast, man.
We were recording this during the national championship game, so if you've heard,
it's 14-3 Michigan over Washington right now in the first.
So we're gonna get you out of here. Enough time to watch the rest of the game. But thank you so much. I hope you have a great night.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate it, man. A lot of fun.